Hello, Caluba here. It's the 31st of March and I'm telling you, showing you my March faves and what I've been up to and what my plans are for April. I don't know what I'm doing for my hands there. If I look tired, it's because I am fucking tired. It's been another week. Oh, March has been a month. Yeah, it's this. Oh. I'm not even going to go into it. I'm just gonna do my faves. So yeah, I've got a handy dandy cup of tea here. Earl Grey, if you're wondering. Oh, it's good temperature. Oh, that's really nice. So yeah, I am just going to dive straight in because I often just have a lot of preamble, and I'm sure most of you will be screaming at the screen, "Get on with that!" So that's what I'm going to do. So I will talk about decks, then I will talk about books, then I will talk about all the other little bits like YouTube videos, podcasts, TV, films, all that kind of stuff, music, misc. And yeah, I will then talk about what my plans, my plots and schemes for April are. Yeah, stuff and things. So let's get into it. So, oh, crapola. Hold on a second. I left one of the decks that I wanted to show that I've been using this month on my altar trolley, which is because I've been using it. So I was not prepared. Oh, lo siento. Okay, so we now have all the decks. So the first, I had some. Now I don't know if. Can I start a sentence? Can I finish a sentence? I'm not sure when this deck came into my life. I think it came in at the end of February, but you know, my memory is trash, so I could probably am wrong. Whatevs. But oh my god, the Dinosaurs de Marseille by Anastasia Kashian, who is a UK artist and creator. This deck, it's actually a Minchiati, and it has, I believe, 96 cards because it has the 78 and then it has something like 18 extra cards. So yeah, that's 96, right? The little guidebook is adorable. All the dinosaur names are written out clearly for you to understand. I still have the Minchiati bit separate because I have put a pin in Minchiati because I'm like, at some point later down the road I will do some Minchiati research and have a little bit of a dive, and then I can really start using the decks that have Minchiati components. So it would be, I think I only have the two, which would be this one and the delicious Taroki by Mr. Freeborg, which is also, I have the expansion pack which Jens very kindly gifted to me because he is a sweetie. A badass and a sweetie. The two are not mutually exclusive. Exclusive. Words. I'm having I was gonna say I'm having strugglings with them, but I just, case in point, like I said, it's been a week. Dr. Nomai, come on, look am I. Kath and Kim reference for those of you who were like, what the hell? Yeah, I had to have a dental surgery, a really intense dental surgery, yes, again, this week, and she had a lot of teeth removed. There was issues with the previous dental that were not picked up on, and I'm going to start calling her my gummy bear or my gummy baby or maybe Dr. Gummy, because that little underbite that was her winning smile, that's gone along with like a whole fuck ton of other teeth, and she's recovering, she's doing okay. She had a checkup this morning back at the vet's, and then she goes back in a week and a half, about a week and a half, to see the veterinary dentist to hopefully sign off and say, you know, all's good. So we shall see. Anyway, that's one of the reasons why this month has been a month and why this week has been a week. That's just a little glimpse into the shit show that has been my life. Anyway, so yeah, this deck, I have done a walkthrough, unboxing and walkthrough and first impressions. So that's on my channel if you want to see a very long rambling video. There's also a shorter one, which I think is probably better than mine, let's be honest, by Saturnarium if you want to get it. But this is all dinosaurs. So it's actually got, so the court cards are like the queen of, the king of in French. And then like all of the majors, they are actually actual dinosaur breeds, types of dinosaurs. What would you call species? No, dinosaur is taxonomy. Dinosaur types. So they all have like, now I can't show you. They don't all do. Oh, and then some of the things have been renamed. So here we have paleontology instead of the judgment, because that makes sense, right? Isn't that clever? We have different names for the suits. We have the bones, which represent the wands, which you can tell actually because there's flames burning at the bottom there, which gives it away for you. You think a lot of them have flames. We have ferns for the swords. Come on, camera. The artwork is so charming and the colours are really yummy. They're like a really sort of muted jewel tones. And then we have ammonites for the, what would be the coins traditionally in a Marseille. It's all turned about. And then we have the crinoids or crinoids. These weird, it looks a bit like they've got a bong, but it's not. It's, I'll show you here, these weird cup-like shaped things are a weird sea plant or sea creature that grows or lives on the seabed. I hadn't heard of them before getting this deck, actually, I have to be honest. But yeah, the suits are really, it's not confusing. I thought having all the different like the hadrosaur here, the different names of the dinosaurs and the suit change was going to make reading with this deck confusing, but I mean that's so very obviously justice. You know, it's not been a problem. I mean, the ammonites are very clearly meant to look like coins. It's been fine. In fact, it's been fun. The baryonyx is clearly the hermit. So yeah, I was a bit like, oh, maybe I'll struggle. Haven't struggled at all. It's been absolutely fine. Love it, love it, love it. It's a smaller size, but it's quite a chunky, thick deck. So I am still pretty only able to overhand, which is fine. I'm making my peace with the whole having to just overhand stuff. It is what it is. Oh yeah, the hand thing. That's another thing that has been why this has been a month, because I finally got some scan results and yeah, your girl's got an issue with her hand and it's only gonna get worse. Yay, she puts the thumb up. Stop talking about yourself in third person. I just did it again. But yeah. Yay hand pain, yay hand problems. So yeah, there's been a lot to sort of come to terms with. The loss of Nomi's trademark smile, the loss of the full use of my dominant hand as a maker and artist, and yeah, that's just a couple of things. I'm just being a bitchy moany little bear here today, aren't I? Anyway, I'm just sitting here shuffling because it's really satisfying. But I use this for all of my week ahead spreads, and I used it in combination with the Pathfinder Oracle deck, which was one of my decks that I wanted to use more, or to use, you know, really get to grips with in 2023. So yay me for pulling this one out. So this was what I would do the first week. And I think maybe the first and second week of March, I would pull my usual 3 cards for my week ahead. And I usually don't, usually I have like a question I want to ask or something I want to sort of focus on, and I pull 3 cards. And then the first and second week, or maybe the first week, I pulled 3 cards from this as well. But it felt a lot because this deck is really, really, let's show the deck. This is by Skull Garden. Andy, is it Andrew Schwartz? Andrew, I always want to say Andy Schwartz, but it's Andrew Schwartz. I think I misread it years ago and it's just sort of ingrained in my brain. Oh, that rhymes, kind of. But yeah, it's a really great deck. I got it last year and I used it quite a bit when I first got it, and then I had loads of other decks come in, and then sort of didn't use it as much. But it's a square deck, but it's meant to be, you know, red as a diamond. See what I mean? Can I speak today? As a diamond. So it has 4 potential readings. You have positive, negative, passive, and active. And yeah, the 3 readings in conjunction with the tarot spread felt the 3 cards in conjunction with the 3 cards with the tarot felt a lot. So what I ended up doing for the rest of my week ahead readings was just pulling 1 card from this. So I wasn't getting the benefit of being able to link up the cards, but I'm still like finding that this whole, you know, the different passive and active and negative and receptive kind of combinations, I'm still working that out, like how I read that. But when I shuffle it, I only overhand, so I'll just shuffle, then I'll pick a bit up, turn it a quarter, shuffle a bit, pick a bit up, turn it a quarter, shuffle it, and just do that for however long I feel I need to. I mean, that means you get a good mix of different directions, and then yeah, I lay it on the table in a diamond. But I should show you the reason that I was, you know, using these together. The colours just really worked. The art styles are obviously very different. This one is like sort of inspired by the classic Marseille sort of style, but it just worked. The colours just seem to, I don't know, it just I mean, kismet, like what the hell. I love it when that happens with a deck. I was like, I'll give these a go together, just see, because I do want to use the Pathfinder a bit more this year, and I just need to get on that. I don't know what I'm doing otherwise. Too much D&D. I'm playing too many tabletop role playing games. I'm watching too many, and so like doing weird voices is just sort of. Anyway. Come for the decks and books, stay for the chaotic energy. Again, like it works, doesn't it? I don't know. What do you think? You folks think it works? I mean, not everyone is going to be a complete winner, but it's still they kind of really do work together. Well, that's funny with them. You've got the dark at the bottom and then the bright shiny thing in the sky at the top, and the same on this one as well. So yeah, these two together, loved them, and we'll be using them together again. So yeah, that was the Pathfinder Oracle from Skull Garden, Andrew Swartz, and the Dinosaurs de Marseille by Anastasia Cashin. And I will try to remember to link them down below, as well as the video walkthroughs that I have done of these decks. And they are both indie decks, and they are both still available as far as I know. So that's those two. Those were my my week ahead readings that I was doing. I also did quite a bit of tarot study reading and tarot practice, and the 2 decks that I used for that, well, came in at the beginning of the month, my Squidcake Marseille Mass Market Edition. Now my indie version is in here because it fits in the box and I can keep it with the book. You can see the book is in the middle there because I often read with just the triumphs, with just the majors, and then I add the minors and the quarts, the pips and the quarts, for additional information. It's just the way I've just enjoyed reading a lot, on and off, not exclusively, but a lot of the time. Like if I'm doing a tirage en croix, I will often do with just the triumphs, with just the majors, and then pull an extra minor card for each position. But yeah, this is my indie version. The mass market version is slightly different in the sense that all of the pip cards, again, I do have a walkthrough slash comparison, like side by side comparison of these two. So if I show you a pip card, let me just pull a pip card. So here's an example. They're not the same cards because I should be more organised, but chance to be a fine thing. So we have the 4 of cups here. There's no title at the bottom. This is the independent version. The mass market version does have a title at the bottom, so the image on the pip cards is a little smaller than it would be on the independent version. It's not a deal breaker for me, honestly. The cardstock is thicker. It's a chunkier. It's quite a thick deck, and it's edged in pink, a lovely shade of pink. Has the exact same backs. This is the again, indie. It's got slightly, the mass market has slightly more round corners, which I actually feel suits the deck more because it's such a yum 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 squishy soft pinky, like it's like my modified Tower of the Magical Forest. I deliberately used the largest corner rounder that I had to keep that very soft, squishy, fluffy kind of feel to the deck, you know. But yeah, and then all of the titles, so instead of the French titles in the mass market version, they've all been put in English. But again, it doesn't matter to me. The reasoning that Jess Roller, the creator of this deck, gives in the book is that they were trying to make Marseille as accessible as possible for people and as less confusing as possible for people. Because let's be honest, I mean, I was stumped by Marseille at the beginning. When I first was looking at them, I mean, first of all, I thought they were ugly, and I was like, there's no way that I like those decks. And then second of all, I was like, there's no way I could read with that. What's so confusing? I now have flipped my position. Well, you know that if you're a long time watcher of my channel, you'll know that I am fully converted to pips. I do still read with Smith-Waite and other kinds of systems of tarot, but I don't want my tea to go cold. I always make that mistake. I was trying to regain the thread of my thought. I actually think it's easier. It's really liberating. It's actually, I find it easier. I really, really do. And it just makes more sense to me. And I love the open style of reading. I do use what Yoav Ben-Dov would call table and image. So I do use like the numerological, the elemental, and the actual suit correspondences that you would find in a table. But then I also then go via the image, which would be the story that I'm seeing in front of me, and using that sort of open style reading, which is where it gets really, really fun. So all that is to say that I was using the Squidcake Marseille. Actually, I've used both the mass market and the indie version fairly equally this month, just whichever one was closest. And also using the CBD Marseille for practice questions, because I was rereading or reading a number of Tarot de Marseille books, excuse me, which I will be talking about shortly. I do want to show another deck first though. These were the ones that I was using. So I actually often had these two downstairs in the living room, because I would read the books in the mornings and maybe do a bit of practice in the mornings, and then hence why I would just grab whichever deck was closest to me, Squidcake Marseille wise. But last Thursday, so 8 days ago, I got another deck coming in. I have two more decks to show you that are very new arrivals. One of them arrived like an hour ago, and it's the Feel Good Tarot de Marseille, or the Tarot de Marseille Feel Good, apologies, by Celine Camoun and Elodie Asenchi or Senchi. This is the front. They have a really fun, colourful website. It's not really a Marseille, because it does have some deviations from the way a Marseille tradition, the Marseille tradition type deck, they have a very specific layout when it comes to the pips especially. And so I will say, because I always say, is that all Tarot de Marseille are pip decks, but not all pip decks are Tarot de Marseille. So this is quite large, especially considering I've been using a lot the Dinosaur Tarot and the Squidcake Marseille, which are quite a bit smaller than this. It's got these lovely indigo backs, or dark navy, midnight blue backs I should say, with a sort of a gold, it's not really a metallic gold, it's just a gold-esque star print on the back, and it's very modern, and it's really, really pretty. So it's more pippish. It does have Marseille-esque elements to it, but as you can see, if you're familiar with Tarot de Marseille, you will see that this, you know, the Eight of Swords in a Tarot de Marseille would not look like this at all. You know, but then you get cards like this, which are a lot more traditional to the system. So it's a hybrid-ish deck, because it does also have Smith-Waite elements and influences. What I like about, you know, the coins and the cups is that you'll see, and well, most of the suits actually, is that you get different decorations on all of the suit items. So for example here, the cups are different to the card I previously showed you. All of the cups are the same in this one. The cups here are different, but they're also different to each other. So you get like a real mix of, come on camera, real mix of, my camera's being annoying. Yeah, it's really, really pretty. There's lots of really lovely colours, but it's also that we've got a bit more diversity. We do not have age diversity when it comes to the women in this deck, but we do get some older men in it. There's a couple of things that do irk me a little bit. I mean, the cardstock's very shiny, but whatever. Let me find some people cards to show you. It's very modern. It's very Gen Z. And I feel like this is a great deck for people that like want to learn Marseille or Pip. I mean, I would say if you want to learn Marseille, maybe don't learn with this because it's not Marseille. But if you want to learn to read with Pips, you could certainly, you know. And I don't mind that this isn't a strict Marseille because it's nice to have a little bit of a change up, a little bit of different flavour. You know, it's the same when you pick up a Smith-Waite deck and it's got some variations. You know, they some of the cards are very Smith-Waite, and then some of them they kind of do their own thing. One that I really enjoy that is quite like that is the intuitive, the True Heart Intuitive. Can I? Is it in True Heart Intuitive Tarot? I can't. Yeah, no, hang on. The Rachel True deck. My brain, I cannot recall information. It's not like I was only using that the other day. So this is like potentially the oldest woman in the deck because her hair is white, but then her face doesn't look old. So I'm just like, oh, she's just doing that like trendy white hair, white bleached style hair that, you know, has been a thing. So we've got, you know, she's not plus sized by any means, but she's got a little bit more, she's a little fuller in the figure. You know, a lot of the men are older. I love this fox. Come on, come on camera, look at the little fox. Some of the cards have like little extra animal companions, which I quite enjoy. But we do have some more diversity. It's not it's not hugely, it's not very queer. I was hoping to see a bit of queerness, but I don't really see any sort of same-sex couples or sort of real queer coding in the deck. But I mean, it'd be a miracle if we had everything we wanted in a single deck. Can you imagine? I mean, she's got a dark lip and a dark nail and then like pink hair, and I'm like, this is me in like 2005. Literally, that was me. I was rocking that. We've got like so much pink hair, you know. So you can see the aces have a bit more of a Smith-Waite vibe about them rather than a Marseille. But it's fun. I've only used it very briefly last Sunday. So I can't really say particularly how it was. Oh my god, this was the deck where the card where I was like, do you know what? Yeah, I need this. And I'm not even a cat person. I'm a dog person generally, but I do love kittens. So yeah, we've got a pink horse. I mean, yes, and space buns. So yeah, we've got I think it's a good deck for younger folk or people that just like pink or people that just like contemporary, just want to like a contemporary pip deck. I love the deck card. Anyway, this is Tally to walk through this deck, which wasn't my intention. But I do have a walkthrough that I put up last Friday, so again, I will try to remember to link it, but if I don't, it'll be literally the video before this. So yeah, that came in last week. And then today, like an hour and a half ago, just before I had my lunch, a deck that I ordered almost 2 weeks ago from Make Playing Cards. This is only the second ever deck I've ordered from Make Playing Cards. The first one was Tom Benjamin's Multi Marseille. This is the Diverse Marseille. The Diverse Tarot du Marseille by Moonchild Tarot. I'm confused because it makes me think of Danielle Noel, but yeah, the creator of this deck I had seen this pop up. Someone had mentioned it. I think it might have been Krista. It might have been RTK commenting on one of Tom Benjamin's videos. I think that might have been where I first saw it a few weeks ago. And I quickly looked it up on Make Playing Cards. And, you know, they only do the few cards that you can see now for copyright reasons, right? They're trying to protect artists' work, so fair enough. And, oh, there's a... I was like, well, I would like to get more of a look at it if I can. And then I put a pin in it. I was like, well, I'm not going to buy any more decks. She says after I'm showing you these two. Clearly, because I'd had such an influx of decks and books over the last couple of months, using up my Christmas, you know, so using some of my Christmas and birthday money. So I was like, let's just play with what I've got. And I was, you know, very happily playing with what I already had got in and reading what I'd brought in. Someone shared that there was a walkthrough from the creator of this deck. And I went to look at it and I watched the walkthrough and I was like, oh damn, now I fucking need it. So I ordered it, and then I ordered this one. I had also, at the same time around, I had seen this one that evening. I think this was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was looking at French decks online, trying to find French decks for, like, you know, trying to find different Marseille, you know, like the Tarot Archetypal and you know, Le Tarot Noir, and decks that are not Marseille decks that are not sort of as well known, the Tarot Gulliver, for example, and this was one of the other ones. So I ordered this 2 weeks ago and it came today. I ordered this 2 weeks ago again and it came last week. But yeah, this is the Diverse Tarot de Marseille. It says Moonchild Tarot. I can't remember the creator's name, but basically she's drawn, I think it's a Convert deck, I'm not 100% sure, but she's put purple in. Oh my god, I was like, this deck has purple in. Yes, she's redrawn it. I think she's redrawn some of the features of people so that she can depict the people of the global majority, people of colour, more authentically. And actually, if you watch her walkthrough, which I do recommend if you're interested in this deck, the colours, every single colour that she's used in each card is important. She's picked each colour for a reason. So this is my first time looking at it. I've literally, I just literally just took the cellophane off. So I'm very excited to have this in my collection because I want more diverse Marseille decks, which is why I bought this. I did buy this knowing that it wasn't a it wasn't a classic Marseille, it wasn't a true Marseille, but I was like, I don't care, like it's fun, it's colourful, it's got some diversity in it. Is it perfect? No, but it's better than most, right? we're working with what we got. Hopefully it's getting better, but I just super appreciate people that are making more diverse and inclusive decks. It's important. Representation is so important, and I want to see that in my Marseille because I predominantly read Marseille, and eventually I'd like to be able to read for family and friends again, and I want them to be able to see, you know, I'm a Londoner and I want to see my community, my family, my friends represented in the decks that I work with, and my family and my friends are not all like cis-het white people. Not all cis-het white Christians, I should say, even, being that, you know, the UK is very secular these days, but used to be predominantly a Catholic country at once upon a time, and then it just classed as a Christian country. That's you know, I want to see my world depicted, and I don't think that's too much to ask for. And I want to see the people that I'm reading to see themselves in it as well, right? As a white person, I see myself in tarot decks all the time. I don't see my queerness or my disability and illness represented, but I do see my skin tone represented overabundantly. So as you can see, we have like a beautiful pinky tone for the baton. We have a lovely teal. Oh, I love teal. A lovely teal tone for the cups. Oh, the colours. We have excited. It's a very pale, very sort of pale yellowy colour for the swords that are peas. And then for the coins, we have a muted green. So they're colour coded, very much like the Tarot de Marseille by Fournier. So, and it comes in like a little sort of velvety drawstring bag, so that's cool. But I will probably make my own pouch for this because I do like my decks to be snug as a bug in a rug and to stop them getting dinged up. So that's all the decks. Holy moly, that was half an hour of pure waffle. I will try to at some point make a walkthrough. It won't be an unboxing because I've just opened it, but a walkthrough of this deck because I want to get it out there. Hitting myself in the face. I want to get it out there. That may sound really wanky, like I'm going to promote this deck and make it more popular. That's not what I meant. Like, my channel isn't that big. I just mean the more of us that buy this deck and share it, let other people know about it, because there's loads of people looking for Marseille decks, and I think the white supremacist patriarchal Christian structure that this Marseille is based in puts a lot of people off, understandably so, right? Why should people have to work with decks or with a system that is based in really problematic stuff? And I'm very aware of its limitations and its problems, which is why I'd like to see, I don't know if we can salvage it. That reminds me, Missing Witches podcast, I think the new episode came up yesterday or today. I haven't listened to it yet, but it's talking about decolonizing decks. I haven't listened to it yet, but just in case you're interested, it's one of the ones I'm going to listen to, because I wonder if they will touch on the Tarot de Marseille and how can you, I don't think you can entirely decolonize it because it was created by colonizers, but anyway, books. So, wow. I've got a lot of books here. I've been able to focus on reading, and the reason for that is because I haven't been watching YouTube that much. I haven't really been watching. Instead, in the evening, my husband and I will sit down and watch a show, like a short show, maybe like 25-30 minute show, and then I'm like, right, okay, I'm going to lay on my acupressure mat and then I'm going to read, and that's what I do rather than just being watching things all night. So I'm not watching YouTube all evening, or I'm not watching TV shows or films. I'm sitting and I'm reading in bed. And oftentimes falling asleep with the book and waking up an hour to 2 hours later with a crick in my neck and having to then put the light out. So one of the books that I'm showing you, this one, I showed in last month's sort of things that I have acquired. 2000 tarot practice questions by Elizabeth Smith. Improve your tarot reading skills. This is the second edition. This has been really handy. Some of the questions are funny, and clearly, I haven't done all 2000 questions because that's a lot, but that's the point, right? This book is meant to last a while. But yeah, it's got random questions. The names are really funny as well. So we have Claude asks, what external influences will help me stay on top? My question would be, stay on top of what, Claude? Because that could be open to interpretation, but there we go. Let's find another one. I just use it like bibliomancy. I just go blah, 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 and then I pick it and I go, and then I pick a question and then I answer it and I do my practice reading. It's been awesome. Clifford, the names, I love it. Will I be successful as a concert pianist? I don't know. Do you play the piano? Because if you don't, probably not. Let's see. Nettie asks, how can I communicate to my lover in the best way possible? Like real mix. The names, I love the names. We've got someone called Dallas. Dallas asks, what will help me get through the current cycle I'm in? I love it. We've got a Winifred here. Book. What should I be wishing for right now? So yeah, I have found this really helpful because I am crap at coming up with questions. I keep doing the iterations of the same questions, so I'm like, this has really helped me. If you struggle, you want to practice reading and you don't have loads of people like IRL, real life people that you can practice with, get yourself one of these. So I'm coming. I said I would report back, and the report is yay. Next, two tarot books that I either finished or reread. So the first one was I reread Yoav Ben-Dov's Marseille Tarot Revealed. Fucking hell, it's quite heavy. And I mean, it's there's bits highlighted, sometimes too much, one would say. Bit liberal with the bit too highlighted. What was I thinking? I don't know. But it was really funny coming back and reading this and looking at the things that I had written in it when I first read it. So let me see, because I don't know, past me was in a mood, was not like, hang on, you know, and for the most part I love this book and I 100% recommend it, but like most books, I'm not going to 100% agree with everything. And one of the things that really winds me up, and again it's something I'll touch on in a bit, is the whole like gender binary, masculine, feminine, like qualities or energies. Like, just, we don't need to call them, we don't need to gender them. Stop gendering them, stop it. No, I've had enough. And it winds me up something chronic, let me tell you. It rubs me up the wrong way. And like most people, I like to be rubbed up the right way. You know what I'm saying? So, let me see if I can find... Oh, case in point. What was past me was really this outdated idea can fuck right off. And I was reading this each morning. I was reading a little bit each morning with my as I ate my breakfast and drank my tea. And I couldn't stop laughing. I was like... Wow, rude and elitist. It's a folk practice. People work with what they have. I don't know. I think it's talking about like fortune telling with Marseille cards, which, you know, a lot of people will knock fortune telling with tarot, but that idea itself, that it's less, it's inferior, is quite rooted in racism and misogyny and all sorts of not very nice things. So yeah, like there was loads of little bits like that just really made me laugh, because I was like, and then also like the absolute overzealous highlighting. I was like, okay. Rereading it going, okay. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed rereading it. It was really interesting coming back, because I read this at quite at the beginning, very near the beginning of my Tarot de Marseille journey. I started this book, then I got Untold Tarot by Caitlin Matthews. I tore through that book. I found that really good. That is the first book I recommend for anyone that wants to read Marseille and Pip decks. Then I came back to this one and sort of worked my way through this. It was really interesting reading this, having sort of... I went back last spring and sort of looked at the way that I read Marseille and did all my tables again and went through a load of the exercises in Tarot and Earthing. And it helped me sort of work out how far I'd come in the last couple of years with Marseille reading. And then rereading this again. When did I last read this? 2019 maybe? Seeing what I agreed with, what I disagreed with, and like how I read now. So I still think this is a great book. I really do. Again, like I said, don't agree with everything in it, but I think it's a really great resource. So that was fun. So I don't often like reread fiction, but tarot books, witchy books, referencey books that were foundational. Like I've reread 78 Degrees of Wisdom several times at this point. It's just really nice to go back, and I really enjoyed going back to that. I completed, after having started it last year, the Towards the Art of Reading, Marseille Tarot Towards the Art of Reading by Camelia Elias. I had got maybe halfway, 2/3 of the way through this, and then, I don't know, other books came in, or I got distracted, or I was really struggling to read last year. I didn't read anywhere near as... I've read more this year than I did in the entirety of last year. And we've only had 3 months, so yeah, this is going a lot better. So I finally finished this. Now I do like Camelia Elias. She is a little bit of the enfant terrible of the tarot world, and she does seem... Sometimes I'm like, okay girl, it's okay to like be kind, right? She's very much, you need to tell it like it is, and I don't make friends, people will get pissed off with me, blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, but tact is a thing, but it also makes me laugh. Like, again, she reads in a very cartomantic folk practicey type way, so I don't follow her numerology in the way that she reads her suit elemental associations, and the way that they're associated to different like spheres of like you know, practicality or the thoughts and things like that. It's all different. So I don't read Marseille in the system, but she's like, as long as you have a system and you stick to it, it's fine. You don't have to follow her system, but her general ideas are quite interesting. And she, again, open reading. Very much an exoterrorist rather than esoterrorist. So I finished that. I had started it last year and hadn't finished it. Now I finished it, and I'm pleased that I finished it. Trying not to let them go cold. It's on the cusp. Another book that I didn't actually have that much left to read, and then I just stopped reading it, which was the Shadow and Bone, the first in the trilogy that was gifted to me Christmas 2021 by Simon at the Hermit's Cave. It's the limited edition hardback, or collector's edition hardback. I mean, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. And I had like a ridiculously small amount, especially as the print is quite large and it's quick read. I had like maybe, I don't know, like this much left, and I hadn't finished it. I think the problem was I ended up with really bad brain fog and like worse than usual, I should say, brain fog and cognitive dysfunction after getting COVID last August. And I think I just really struggled to read, and this had already been sitting on my side for a while, and I kept meaning to finish it, but yeah, I finished it. And I don't have the second or third book. The special editions for the next two books, there's no news about whether they're going to release them, so I've got this lone fancy copy, and I'm like, I'm just going to have to pick up paperback copies. But I enjoyed it because I watched the show when it came out a couple of years ago, and I the reason that I finished this was I just needed to finish it, and it was driving me bananas sitting there just with a little bit left to read. But campaign 2, season 2 of Shadow and Bone came out this month, and I was like, I want to watch it, and I want to finish this, because this is basically season 1 without the crows, without the dregs bit, you know. Books that I have been reading this month but have not completed, and hopefully will be able to report back at the end of next month. Reading and understanding the Marseille Tarot. This was a book that I had on my wish list, but hadn't picked up. And then I did see, I think it was Justin Michael talking about it and saying how he thinks it's a really good book. It's quite a slim, good beginner's book. I wouldn't say it's a good beginner's book for myself personally, because first of all, it says it's Marseille Tarot. It gives all of the names in English, which is fine, whatever, but it gives the Golden Dawn names. So instead of the Pope, we have the Hierophant, right? Instead of the Popess or the Papess, we have the High Priestess. And I know that's probably because this is a book put out by Lo Scarabeo, and I know that it's one of those decks with all the different languages around on the border, and they do seem to have, from what I can see from the reproductions in this book, they do seem to have the Golden Dawn names, the Smithwaite names for the cards. So that's sort of, you know, if you're looking for something that wants to get you started with Marseille, that just straight off the bat is like, well, you want to get used to what they're called, right? Because if you're going to use anything other than this particular Lo Scarabeo deck, you're going to be like, the what? You're going to be reading the French and going, I don't necessarily know what that is. And there is a lot of like gender stereotyping, gender binary, gender in this book. And yeah, it was, it kind of irritates me, but at the same time, there's some really great information and interesting ideas in here as well. So it's like, I recommend it so far. I'm like halfway through. I'm now onto the section for the pips. But I wouldn't recommend it as a first book. I would say get a couple of books and workbooks of other ones. Get used to reading Marseille, get sort of a handle on your own system, and then maybe bring in some other ideas. So yeah, but again, it's personal preference, right? Your mileage may vary, but for me, there was just something about the tone of it. I haven't finished. Again, I don't mean to be, I'm going into a review, which is not what I meant to be doing, because I haven't finished it. I can't talk about it in completion. Another book that I've been reading and that I am halfway through is Seeing the World, Tarot Signposts On the Path to Perception by Jean-Claude Flanois. This book really, I mean, I had dipped in and out of this book. Well, I don't know why I'm showing you, miming me dipping in and out of the book, in case you wondered what that looked like. I had dipped in and out of it, like when I wanted to look up a particular Trump, for example, but I hadn't read the whole thing in its entirety. The history bit at the beginning, very interesting. Lots of citation. This is a translation of the French because it was originally in French. Jean-Claude Flanois. You might have heard that name from he created decks like he redrew and recreated the Jean Dodal and the Jean Noblet. Yeah, it's translated and annotated by David Vine, and yeah, it's reading it in it's starting to read it in full. It's not what I really thought it was. It's not an esoteric book, which is fine because I like to keep my Marseille very sort of grounded, and I don't use a lot of those esoteric or occult things in my Marseille readings. I leave that more to the Smithwaite and the Thoth stuff. But it's got a very psycho-spiritual vibe to it, a lot of a psychological vibe. Again, Camelia Elias, I believe, might be a psychologist or psychotherapist. There's a bit of that going on here. But yeah, what I love about these two is that it's the, like, Camelia Elias literally calls out some, like, historians and other tarot writers in this. And I think Jean-Claude Flanois does, but in a less direct way. So there's a little bit of sniping going on, but yeah, so far it's different to what I expected. I don't know how useful it is for the way that I read Marseille, but it's always interesting to get a different perspective, and Jean-Claude Flanois was such an important part of the Marseille tarot community. I feel like I owe it to him to read his book, and I'm glad that we do have an English edition. And the other book that I've been reading that's focused around tarot is the Tarot Triumphs, and this is by Cherry Gilchrist, and it's introducing the Fool's Mirror. Again, I've dipped in and out of a couple of the majors entries in this book, but I've never read it in its entirety. I'm not very far in. I've only not long started it. I started it a couple of weekends ago and then forgot that I'd started it, and then I just found it on the side. I was like, oh yeah, I was reading this. So the reason I haven't finished this one is because I started reading these two. It's a buffet of books, because sometimes this is a bit like, oof, this is a bit much. I'll just dip into this, and then I'll just... It's a buffet of books, but I will report back on these three once I have finished them, hopefully next month. And then fiction, because I didn't have the other Shadow and Bone books, but I do have the duology, the Crows duology. Oh my god, so pretty. I am, as you can see, very near the end of this. I have been tearing through this of an evening. This is my bedtime read. I'm really enjoying it. I actually prefer it to Shadow and Bone. Now in the show, they combine this story and the story of Alina Starkov together, and they interweave them, and there's been changes and interweavings and things, but I think they've done a really good job of that in the show, and I enjoy that. But my goodness, my heart does belong to the Crows. I think they are they're more my bag, and I do have the second volume for this, so I'm looking forward. Once I finish this, I can go straight on to the next one. So I will hopefully be reporting back on this and the sequel, the second book in the duology, once at the end of next month. So that's what I've been reading. Wow, 50 minutes almost. So that's the books, the decks. I've just realised I've piled all my books and decks on top of my list of my faves, and now I can't reach it, and I have to move all of the decks and books out of the way, you know, so that I can get to them. Yes. What else did I do? Favourites. Okay, so I've mentioned the decks, the books I have mentioned. Yep, that's all done. YouTube. Hardly watched any YouTube. I watched the odd video here and there from channels that I watch, but like this is the least amount of YouTube this month. Least amount of YouTube I have watched in ages. And I said this last month. I said I hadn't watched as much YouTube. This month I barely watched any. The only thing that I was watching for the most part on YouTube was Critical Role. I am halfway through the latest episode for campaign 3, but what I did do was I finished campaign 2 finally. I'm all up to date. It's all done. I did it. I'm so pleased. So I have 2 full campaigns of Critical Role under my belt finally, and I would have finished that a lot sooner, but I did decide to start watching campaign 3 as it was airing because I hadn't been able to do that before. When I first found Critical Role in the spring of 2018, I think it was Kelly Fitz of The Truth in Story who mentioned it to me because I was playing a D&D campaign with her she was the DM at the time, and she said check out Critical Role, and I fell in love. And me being a completionist and a nerd, wanted to start from the very beginning. I started with campaign 1, even though there were only a few episodes of campaign 2 out thus far. Again, what am I? Thus far. So I probably could have watched campaign 2 at the same time, but I didn't want to get confused. But yeah, so that Critical Role is pretty much what I've been listening to. Podcasts. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, but I've really been hammering Morbid, mainly the listener tales, loving the listener tales. And then I got completely up to date with their Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast called The Rewatcher. I just really like listening to them two talk. Ash and Elena are very, very funny. And I'm a Buffy fan, and I've been enjoying reliving my teens and my 20s by listening to them talk about Buffy. And then another one that I found, which was mentioned by Spud in the Taster podcast Tommy and Spud talks about, Spud mentioned a podcast called Strange Familiars, and I was like, oh, and he was talking about a Capuchin monk that the Strange Familiars podcast often has on, and that they're very interesting. So I was like, oh, I will go check this out. And I've been really enjoying listening to Strange Familiars. I feel like it's very much dependent on the person they have on, because it's mostly just regular folks coming forward and telling you about their sort of weird encounters, their ghostly encounters with high strangeness, that kind of thing. And some of them I've had to be like, I can't listen to this because the person's maybe a little boring, or I don't know, their story is like, I'm like, sure, Jan. But for the most part, I've been really enjoying it, and I have listened to one of the episodes with the Capuchin monk, and that was really, really fun and interesting. So I'll be linking all these down below. Films and TV. I don't have any films. I did watch a couple of films, but nowhere near as many as I would usually watch. But I have been watching The Boys. I finished season 2 and then now a little ways into season 3. It's a lot. That show is a lot, but I really like it. Like it's intense and it's gnarly, but it just scratches like that gnarly itch, that gnarly bit of me. Like I love Carl Urban. I love him. And now we've got Jensen Ackles, my boy Jensen, Supernatural fan. So it's nice to see him and Kripke teaming up together again for The Boys. I've continued my rewatch of The X-Files, and yeah, it's The X-Files. It was my sexual awakening. It was the show that made me realise I was bi, because, you know, Mulder and Scully, both of them together, me in the middle. Yes, please. Dogs in Space, season 2, I think it was. We finished the last episode last night, me and my husband. We watched the finale of season 2. Love it so much. My favourite is Loaf, but I love William Jackson Harper, and I think he does such a good job voicing Loaf. And I keep forgetting that it's Haley Joel Osment that does the voice of Garbage. If you like dogs or you like space, Dogs in Space. It's a cartoon. It's hilarious, and it has a continuity. It's not one of those cartoons that starts over. I have noticed that I do watch a lot of cartoons, and I have noticed that when I was a kid, a lot of cartoons seemed to like reset. Even like The Simpsons did that quite a lot. Would reset, and then, you know, it was as if the previous episodes things didn't happen. Whereas nowadays, the things that I watch, like Dogs in Space or Centaur World or Dead End Paranormal Park or Lower Decks, anything like that, they all have like a kind of like a proper narrative, which I enjoy. And then I'm 2 or 3 episodes into Shadow and Bone season 2. Freddie Archer, hello, call me. Yeah, and Instagram. Taha Likes You. I can't remember if I mentioned Taha Likes You in my previous faves, but I've been following him for like a year, and again, it's because I followed them for so long, I don't think to mention them, because I always think to mention things that I'm kind of new to me, like the X-Files. I watched the X-Files as a teen. It's not new to me. I watch reruns, it's not new to me, but I've been like hammering it a bit more. I don't know. And then I found this month just by chance, I think it was recommended or suggested to me, an Instagram account called Ragmop and Goose. They do also have a YouTube channel, which is they've started uploading to again, and it's a puppet account. So if you like Muppets and you like cute things, I can't even, like, it's just so cute. These people make puppets. They show you, they do puppet making competitions between themselves. They show you how to make puppets. They like act out little scenes and reels with the puppets, and I am obsessed. There's like a bee called Honey Butter Popcorn. There's Honey Butter Biscuit, Honey Butter, what was the other one? They're all like a variation on the Honey Butter. Honey Butter Cupcake. There's Pinky. Like, they're so cute. Just check it out. It will make your heart melt. Music, didn't really listen to too much music, and I don't have anything really for Misk. Make wise, I've just been very slowly, because I've had issues with my hand and with fatigue and with chronic pain. I haven't really been able to get my next shop drop as far along as I'd like, but I'm still working on it. I've been mostly like playing around with making stuffies and felties and like little pocket monsters. I even made like some of these like little head, like weird bat creatures. I'm just playing around. It doesn't mean I'll be selling them. I just needed room to be able to play and experiment and not always be thinking about making money. I've already started trying out some research and development for some little baggy bags, very early days. Don't know when, things are taking time, because yeah, I work very slowly, except when I don't, when I'm in like a hyper focus, and then I work really, really quickly and to an excess and then burn myself out. But yeah, I've been enjoying making just random little things and presents for friends, like birthdays and things, making little stuffies. Yeah, anyway, so I also wanted to say before I wrap up, I meant to say this at the top, but my squirrel brain just but I wanted to say that on the day of filming, it's Friday the 31st of March, it is International Trans Day of Trans Visibility Day, International Trans Visibility Day. And I just wanted to send my love and my support and solidarity to all of my trans and non-binary and sort of genderqueer, gender non-conforming friends and family, if you're watching. I love you very much, and yeah, trans rights are human rights. That's the end of the sentence, essentially, on that. And yeah, just wanted to say that, because it's something that is very, very important to me. And yeah, that's it. That is my very long, very rambly, very, I don't know, chaos goblin-y March faves. April, oh my god, what am I doing April? So April, I plan to finish the Six of Crows duology. I plan to finish those tarot books and report back on those. I plan to start working more with this Tarot de Marseille walkthrough of this diverse Tarot de Marseille, and yeah, just continue to experiment and play sort of creatively, and to try and get better at like sharing them on my art account. I do sometimes share some of what I make on my usual account that has more followers, purely because it has more followers, more people are going to see when I'm doing shop drops and whatever. And I know that annoys some people, but it is what it is, because I'm a small business trying to like eke out a tiny living and I need all the help I can get, especially with Instagram's algorithm. But if you do want to see behind the scenes, if you want to see what I'm making, what I'm experimenting with, what I'm playing around with, check out my art and design Instagram account, which is Kelly Bear Art. And again, they will all be linked down below. Next shop drop, probably going to be the 60th. I've been doing shop drops on the third weekend of the month so far, but I'm not going to be able to do that for April because my anniversary, my wedding anniversary, will be on Sunday the 16th of April, which would have been when I would usually be doing the shop drop, would be every 4 weeks. It's going to be 5 weeks this time because it's my wedding anniversary and I'm not going to spend it because my husband has taken the 17th off, the Monday off work. I don't want to spend my Sunday, so we're going to spend the weekend just hanging out and doing whatever, maybe doing a marathon of something again, maybe going to a museum, I don't know. I don't want to spend it obviously working is my point. As much as I love what I do, I don't want to spend it my wedding anniversary working, so I'm sure you folks can appreciate that. But yeah, if you haven't made it this far, thank you so much. What were your favourites of my faves? What were your favourites of March? Have you read any of the books that I have read, or are you interested in reading any of them? Do any of you have this tarot deck or the Diverse Tarot de Marseille, and if so, what do you think of it? And yeah, I think that covers everything. I really appreciate you, and I hope that whenever you're watching this, I hope that you are having a good day and that you're being kind to yourself and to others. And yeah, I will see you in my next video. Ciao.